Hey guys, welcome to Pajama Let's Play. I'm Michelle, host of Pajama Let's Play, where we talk all things Kingdom Hearts. Today I'm going to dive into the many Christian allegories I've noticed in this series and address a couple of concerns I have about the direction of the plot going forward. But before we get into that, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell. You can also follow me on Twitch, check out my Patreon. All of those links are in the description box down below. I will be covering the entire series, so make sure to get caught up on the lore first and then come back to this. For everyone else, it hadn't actually hit me just how many Christian allegories are in the series until the Union Cross finale. Specifically this lovely moment of Ephemer exiting his lifeboat from the Ark. You know, after the world had been flooded and all remaining life destroyed. Tell me that's not Noah's Ark. Also, I do believe Skuld ended up with Ephemer and that her being Subject X is a red herring, which would easily set up for the two of them to take on the roles of Adam and Eve to populate the earth, and Noah and his wife who repopulate the earth after their flood. And they create Scala ad Caelum, which becomes Radiant Garden, commonly accepted to be a parallel to the Garden of Eden. That's potentially 3 allegories right there. Not gonna lie, that made me really angry and concerned that my favorite game series of all time may become the one thing I hate most in the modern media. The hero is Jesus, Christ the Savior, and Christianity is the one true religion. Firstly, I'm not Christian, in case that hasn't been made clear yet. I haven't found a truly accurate term for my beliefs, but they certainly are not monotheistic. No beef with those religions, they just aren't what I follow. However, so many great franchises have been ruined for me because they try to shove Jesus down my throat. For example, The Matrix and Lost, and many others the internet cited that I haven't actually seen. Before I get too far into the rant, let's finish setting up why this is a completely justified thing to be worried about. So here's a really obvious example from Kingdom Hearts 3.
Make haste!
So that's Moses. Moses parted the Red Sea to allow his people to pass through it. Yensid parted the Sea of Heartless to allow his people to pass through it. And all that light reminded me of the burning bush personally. There's also the 7 deadly sins with the foretellers and other places in the series. There's even the Coats of Atonement, which I covered here. So there's 3 more Christian allegories. You could even consider the various enemies, you know, heartless, unversed, nobodies, all that, to be the plagues. For my next example, let's take a look at the actual explanation of the Master of Masters for where he plans to go. He just described the Promised Land, a place beyond darkness where he and his comrades can live in peace without the Keyblade War constantly cycling through his life. Another example, in the tutorial for Kingdom Hearts 1, Sora fights this guy, the dark side. That feels a lot like David and Goliath to me. I'm sure there are more, and there will be many more to come, but I think that's enough examples to show the foundation for my concern. If I'm right, we still need our Jesus, savior of humanity. Let's start with Lucio. It's really easy for my tongue to slip when I say his name and turn it into Lucifer. I have exactly 0 hard evidence to back this up, but my intuition is saying Lucio is Lucifer. So let's talk about Lucifer, the Morning Star, the Unchained, and Breaker of Chains. And due to the influence of corrupted men trying to control an empire through fear, Lucifer is now seen as the devil, from which all evil stems. And that's bullshit. I'm sorry for cursing, but it is. Lucifer's primary role is to be the prosecutor against humans in their final judgment. That is not an evil role, it's the epitome of neutral. He doesn't argue people belong in hell, he argues their overall morality and loyalty to their God. He understands sin because he has to in order to fulfill that role. Sin isn't just an evil act by an evil person, it's an act their God does not appreciate, and Lucifer's job is to understand why those decisions were made. He's not an evil entity, and as an archangel, has the capacity for eternal and unconditional love for all things, because all archangels do that. The archangels were designed to obey, and yes, Lucifer did challenge this, and fell, and had to be punished to prevent other archangels from doing the same. But the Holy Roman Empire turned him into a devil instead of a fallen angel. I know I'm going to get a lot of opinions in the comments about this, but my opinions are based on researching the various religions and working with these entities myself. And I would love to get more into that, but it feels like it should be done on a different channel, so let's get back to Kingdom Hearts. Let's just assume Lucio is in fact Lucifer. That would make the Master of Masters Jesus, right? I don't think so. I believe in this scenario, the Master of Masters would actually be the Christian God. He's seemingly omniscient, with the help of the Book of Prophecies. He's the most mysterious figure in the series who never shows his face, and is commonly believed to be the embodiment of light. That could be Jesus, but it feels more like the Christian God to me. Alternatively, if the Master of Masters were the Jesus figure, it would make darkness the Lucifer figure, and maybe it's more about me not wanting Lucifer to be used in that context than actual belief. However, I believe the Jesus role would actually be Sora. He's the hero and the playable character, constantly sacrificing himself for everyone else. He's the eternal healer, which I do have a video recorded for, but I'm not sure which order these videos are going to be released in yet. When Sora gets access to the Kingdom Key, he's basically told he's the chosen champion of Kingdom Hearts. Everything points to Sora being Jesus right now, and it's really pissing me off. And yes, I do understand that this could be the Judeo-Christian God, not specifically the Christian God, but these things tend to lean towards Christianity. So here's why it's such a big problem for me. I'm not allowed to assume that others are pagan, or Muslim, or Jewish, or Buddhist, or any other religion except Christian. That religion has been forced onto humanity, and again, the complete and compiled Bible was written in the context of men who wanted to use fear of the afterlife to control their people and force them into submission. The Romans made an empire that was hand in hand with religion, so any behavior they didn't like, they said their God had a problem with. I was raised LDS, Mormon, where I was encouraged to work with their God directly, and what I got from him was love, compassion, and acceptance. And nothing about me is suitable for the Catholic faith. Clearly, the Christian God was misrepresented by the Holy Roman Empire. Again, not necessarily the Judeo-Christian God, just the Christian God. He didn't seem to me to be capable of such blind hatred of people for just being themselves in the way that Christians claim their God made them. The only reason I'm not throwing my hands up and tearing this entire series apart is because Nomura has Dark Road as, basically, an homage to the Norse gods, and the various gods portrayed in Final Fantasy games. It gives me exactly the amount of hope I need to be able to wait and see if he treats the other pantheons with respect. So, now that I've said all that, here's what I would write with these circumstances, regardless of what I think Nomura is actually doing. I would have this follow the actual history of religion on Earth. In the old days, Union Cross series, there wasn't an established religion, but fundamentals of each existed. The pagans came into power, Dark Road, and lasted for a while, probably warring and full of conflict because that's the nature of those gods. Then something happens, and the pagans are wiped out, and the Abrahamic faiths come into full force through Sora, Yensid, etc. Then, I would write that at the end of that stuff, the pagans would come back, so any characters from Dark Road that aren't killed off would all exist in balance with the current characters. Because this world is so diverse and we need religions and cultures that reflect it. I would really like to see a way for all of those pantheons to coexist in peace. But that's just my 2 cents. So what do you think? Did you notice all of these Christian allegories? Are there some I missed? Do you think I'm reading way too much into it? And do you think that this is more about the Judeo-Christian side than the actual Christian side? Tell me all about your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. You can follow me on Twitch, check out my Patreon. All of those links are in the description box down below. Until next time.